Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're going to be looking at a new set of cards which are going to be released within Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duels, and this time we'll be covering the archfiends. These are a set of monsters which are getting ritual based support, and the first one you can clearly see on the screen is Archfiend Emperor. It's a fire attribute level 7 fiend type ritual pendulum effect monster with 2500 attack and 1200 defense. It has a pendulum scale of 0 and you can target other face up spell of trap on the field, destroy both it and this card. You can only use this effect of Archfiend Emperor once per turn. The monster effect, you can ritual summon this card with Throne of the Archfiends, must be ritual summoned, and it's unaffected by other monster effects while in the extra monster zone. You can only use each of the following effects of Archfiend Emperor once per turn. If this card is ritual summoned from the extra deck, you can banish all monsters on the field except in the extra monster zone. If this card is in the extra monster zone, you can special summon one fiend monster from your hand, deck, graveyard, or banishment. So the attack and defense of this is the same as the summoned skull, and I think it's supposed to link back to the archetype itself. It is a fire attribute, so fire fiend is not one which is common. Most common combination is dark attribute fiend. You do have some light fiends in there as well. It's a ritual monster and it's a hybrid ritual pendulum strategy. Pendulum scale is 0, so if you have a higher pendulum scale, normally that prevents you from going into your level 1 or level 2 monsters, but because this is at 0, it does include you being able to summon into even the lowest level monsters. The pendulum effect just allows you to target another face up spell trap card on the field. This card, another card, gets destroyed, so that's fine. I'm sure there are some forms of recovery, and given that this is a pendulum monster, it will be going face up in your extra deck. The monster effect just specifically requires you to summon it through Throne of the Archfiends. This card is unaffected by other monster effects provided it's in the extra monster zone, so provided you can actually do that, that's okay. If this card is ritual summoned from the extra deck, you're just able to straight away banish all monsters on the field except in the extra monster zone, so basic itself and anything that your opponents manage to get into their extra monster zone. It will then limit your opponent's ability to do much, and provided this is already in the extra monster zone, you're able to special summon a fiend monster, and it can be pretty much from anywhere, from the hand, the deck, the graveyard, or banishment. So you can actually not only wipe out quite a chunk of your opponent's cards, but actually give yourself the field advantage by allowing you to summon into another monster. It has to be a fiend type, but there are so many fiend types, it's not actually restricted by level or any other attributes or any attack or defense restrictions on it, so it is actually probably easier to access. The ritual card is Throne of the Archfiends. Its effect is ritual summon one Archfiend ritual monster from your hand, face up extra deck, graveyard, or banishment by tripling monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed its level. During the standby phase, if you have Archfiend Emperor in your face up extra deck, you can add this card from your graveyard or banishment to your hand. You can only use this effect of Throne of the Archfiends once per turn. This is the ritual card necessary for you to go into the Throne of the Archfiends, and currently I don't think there are too many Archfiend ritual monsters, so it almost feels like an exclusive card to it for the time being, and this allows you to actually recover those cards from the hand, the face-up extra deck, graveyard, or banishment, so it can pretty much go from anywhere, even if you have used those cards before. You do have to exclusively tribute monsters from either your hand or field. You cannot use it as a combination of hand and or field, so that's a bit of a shame, but it doesn't restrict you in terms of level requirements. So long as you either meet the requirements or exceed the requirements, you can then ritual summon successfully. There are certain cards which are more generic that require you to tribute over the exact level requirements to meet. If they're an archetype type of deck which is ritual supported, then often those cards will be designed with that in mind so they can specifically match those levels. But I remember with some of the earlier designs on ritual monsters that they were actually kind of all over the place, that it was difficult to do that. And provided you have your Archfiend Emperor in your face up extra deck, this card gets instantly recovered from either your graveyard or banishment back to your hand. There aren't any other conditions you need to meet. Archfiend Matriarch is a light attribute level 7 fiend type ritual effect monster. It's a pendulum with 2100 attack and 2900 defense. Pendulum scale is 9. You can target one Archfiend spell or trap card in your graveyard or banishment, destroy this card, and if you do, add that target to your hand. You can only use this effect of Archfiend Matriarch once per turn. The monster effect is you can ritual summon this this card with Throne of the Archfiends. It must be ritual summoned and it's unaffected by other monster effects while in the extra monster zone. If this card is ritual summoned, you can destroy as many spell or trap cards your opponent controls as possible. Then if this card is in the extra monster zone, you can banish all spell or traps from your opponent's graveyard. You can only use this effect of Archfiend Matriarch once per turn. This is a little bit more powerful than the Emperor in terms of, well, defensively it is with 2,900 defense. Offensively it's a bit on the weaker side at 2,100, but I think that's fine. Given this is a pendulum scale 9 and the Emperor was a pendulum scale of 0, this will allow you to run multiple Archfiend type monsters anywhere from levels 1 to level 8 and be able to pendulum summon with pretty much dedicated in archetype Archfiend based support. Its first ability just allows you to target an Archfiend spell or trap card, and there are quite a few of them. They can either be in the graveyard or banishment, and by destroying this card you're instantly able to target that card to add straight back to your hand. And given it's a pendulum monster, this matriarch would then go face up in your extra deck, so you'd be able to recover it later on. The monster effect just allows you to summon this card with Throne of the Archfiends, perfectly reasonable. It's unaffected by other monster effects provided it's in the extra monster zone, so it does have additional forms of protection, but it is still susceptible to spell and traps. And as soon as it's ritual summoned, you can pretty much Hoppy's Feather Duster your opponent's spell and trap cards, which is a good way of just wiping out their board. And then if you have this also in the extra monster zone, you get the extra incentive of then banishing all spell and trap cards from your opponent's graveyard. That's useful from the point that there are certain spell and trap cards that have double utilities, so they can not only use their effects on the field, but sometimes by banishing them they then have an additional effect even if they can't usually be used in the same turn. This kind of eradicates that problem by just saying, nope, we're banishing all your stuff immediately after I've used my first part of the effect. So you get to clear all of your opponent's spell and traps, and then you get to clear them fully with the secondary ability. Archfiend's playtime is a normal trap card. Special summon one level 7 or lower Archfiend monster from your hand or deck, or if you have an Archfiend ritual monster in your face-up extra deck, you can special summon up to one each of Royal Archfiend, Duke Archfiend, and Highness Archfiend from your hand and or deck instead. You can only activate one Archfiend playtime per turn. The effect allows you to just special summon a level 7 or lower Archfiend monster from your hand or deck, so that's actually a really easy way of getting out an Archfiend monster, and it's not too restrictive. Most Archfiends don't tend to be higher than level 7, but if you happen to have an Archfiend ritual monster in your face-up extra deck, you can then choose 3 very specific monsters, and those get actually special summoned one of each, so you can actually choose to prove your overall field presence. But to understand the full effect of this, I think we'd actually also need to understand what these cards do as well. Royal Archfiend is a fire attribute level 7 fiend effect monster with 2,400 attack and 1,000 defense. Contribute this card from your hand or face up field. Add one Archfiend card from your deck to your hand, except Royal Archfiend. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except Archfiend monsters. But you can normal summon one fiend monster during your main phase this turn in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. When your ritual monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of a Royal Archfiend once per turn. For a level 7 monster, it's quite weak, given it's only got 2,400 attack points. But within the effect, just by triggering this card from the hand or face-up field, you can instantly search for an Archfiend monster, and that goes from the deck to the hand, except another copy of itself. It does restrict you from summoning from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, but provided you have Archfiend monsters, you can then still utilize that ability. You can normal summon one fiend monster in addition during a main phase to your normal summoner set, so this does give you the opportunity to go into additional cards or to go and tribute summon into a level 5 or 6 monster. Provided your ritual monster is destroyed by battle and this card is in the graveyard, it does have some recoverability to it. Duke Archfiend is a water attribute level 4 fiend type effect monster with 0 attack and a 2,000 defense. It gains attack equal to its level times to 200. You can only use each of the following effects of Duke Archfiend once per turn. You can target one face-up monster you control that has a level, send one Archfiend monster from your deck to your graveyard, except Duke Archfiend, and if you do, increase that monster's level by the level of the sent monster. When your ritual monster is destroyed by battle, while this card is in the graveyard, special summon this card. This initially starts off with 800 attack points, but given that you can copy a face-up monster's level in addition by sending an Archfiend monster from the deck to the graveyard, so it can not only set up your own graveyard, but be able to add its levels. This monster's level then gets increased by that, so provided you can keep this card on the field, you're able to constantly up this monster's level. Even at worst case scenario, it can just be used as part of the ritual summon for either the Emperor or the other ritual monster or the Matriarch, and as soon as a ritual monster is destroyed by battle, whilst this card is also in the graveyard, you're just instantly able to special summon it, so it does have easy ways of getting itself recovered and not leaving you in a situation which is quite common with ritual decks where you've used up all your resources, and if your opponent wipes out anything, you're pretty much left with no ability to counter your opponent. Highness Archfiend is a light attribute level 3 fiend type effect monster with 1000 attack and 800 defense. If this card is normal summoned, you can banish one Archfiend card from your graveyard, add 2 Archfiend cards from your deck to your hand, except Highness Archfiend. Also, you cannot special summon from the edge deck for the rest of this turn, except Archfiend monsters. When your ritual monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Highness Archfiend once per turn. It doesn't seem at first look as that powerful, it only has 1000 attack and 800 defense. As soon as this is normal summoned, you can just straight away banish an Archfiend card from your graveyard. This then allows you to search for 2 Archfiend cards from your deck to your hand, so they can be spell, traps, or monsters, so long as it has Archfiend in the name, except another copy of itself. It does limit you from special summoning from the edge deck for the rest of the turn, except Archfiend monsters, but that's to be expected within the archetype. And as soon as you ritual summon, as your ritual monster is destroyed by battle, and this card is in the graveyard, you're instantly able to recover this card back onto the field. So it does have recovery, which a lot of ritual decks don't still have within the game. Archfiend strategy is a field spell card. Fiend monsters in the extra monster zone gain 1000 attack. You can only activate one of these effects. Banish one Fiend monster or one Archfiend card from your hand or graveyard. Add one Archfiend card from your deck to your hand, except a field spell. Or add one Archfiend Pendulum monster from your deck to your face-up extra deck. You can only use this effect of Archfiend strategy once per turn. I like this card effect because your extra monster zones, your Fiend monsters then get an additional 1000 attack points, so it can actually be any monster that can go into your extra monster zone. It can be either one of the pendulum monsters, it could be a link monster, Xyz, Synchro Fusion, and so that doesn't hard limit you to the ritual based pendulum strategy. The first bit of the effect, just by banishing a fiend monster or an archfiend from your hand or graveyard, you can just straight away search for an archfiend card from your deck and it goes to the hand, except a field spell, so you couldn't add certain cards to it, like Gate of the Underworld wouldn't be allowed, something like that. Second ability just allows you to set one of your Archfiend Pendulum monsters from your deck straight to the face-up extra deck, so this helps you to align and summon into your other cards. Archfiend's Fervor is a continuous trap card. If you control an Archfiend ritual monster in the extra monster zone, you can target one face-up card your opponent controls, gate its effects until the end of this turn. If this card is banished from the hand or field, you can add one Archfiend card from your deck to your hand, except Archfiend's Fervor. You can only use each effect of Archfiend's Fervor once per turn. Provided you have an Archfiend ritual monster in the extra monster zone, you're able to target a face-up card your opponent controls, and its effects are negated for the remainder of the turn, so you can actually disrupt some of your opponent's more annoying cards or restrictive cards, any of their kind of floodgate based cards. It's more ideal. As soon as this card is either banished from the hand or field, you're able to search for an Archfiend card from a deck to your hand, except a copy of itself. So it can be either a monster, a trap, or a spell card, and this is a consistent type of effect, so first part can be used each and every turn to disrupt any of your opponent's particularly annoying cards. Archfiend's Usurpation is a quick play spell card. Activate one of these effects. Either set an Archfiend trap from your deck or graveyard, it can be activated this turn, or ritual summon one Archfiend ritual monster from your hand or face-up extra deck by attributing monsters from your hand or field to total levels equal or exceed its level. You can only activate one Archfiend's Usurpation per turn. This, being a quick play spell card, can be used during yours or your opponent's turn, so it's actually be quite versatile. First part of the effect is just setting an archfiend trap from a deck or graveyard. It is able to be activated during the same turn as it's set, so it does actually move a lot of the downsides that trap cards have. Secondary ability just allows you to ritual summon an archfiend ritual monster from your hand or face up extra deck by attributing monsters from your hand or field, so equal or exceeding its level. So this is just like, it's almost like one of these quick fusion type cards, but for ritual monsters. So that was the current list of the various archfiend cards that we're expected to get within the archetype. Personally for me, I think that's actually okay, as these ritual cards will help to support the other archfiend monsters. There are plenty of them, so you are able to splash a lot of these within these decks, and that means you should be able to run a half competent version almost out the gate as soon as the archetype is released as of the 4th of June. I'd love to know what you guys think of these cards in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video, it really helps support the channel, and if you can watch another video at the end screen, that'd also be useful. Thank you.